In this session, we are going to talk about pegging in the context of MRP. We have several types of outputs that come from MRP, and these outputs can be analyzed for various purposes. Pegging is one of them. Now we are going to look at an MRP system illustration. Here we have MRP tables for component P and component C1. We have an order release scheduled for period 2 for component C1 for 330 numbers. Let us say we have placed the order for 330 numbers of component C1 in period 2. During period 3, there is some difficulty and hence there is a supply disruption. Normally in such cases, we seek minimum quantity to be made good for the required delivery in period 4 and the rest to be supplied by immediate next period, period 5. So what should be that minimum period quantity? Now one quick answer that you can read from this MRP table is, I need 330, so ask for 330. But then if you ask why this 330, we can see that the net requirements are 280, 25 and 25 in periods 4, 5 and 6. So it is sufficient if we get 280. So is this the minimum quantity that we can settle for? Not necessarily. Look at the MRP table again and look at more intently, then you can find some better analysis possible. This 280 is coming fundamentally because there is a gross requirement of 300 in period 4 and we have 20 available, and hence we got the quantity 280 as net requirement. Now ask the question where this 300 has come from. Clearly it is 30 as independent requirement, gross requirement for component C1. Balance 270 is to make 135 batch of P1 to be released in period 4. Now this 135, if you notice, is actually a combination of net requirements of 35 in period 5 and 100 in period 6. So the 100 of period 6 for component P can be received later. So I can say that the component C1 requirement corresponding to this batch of 100 of P of period 6. So that translates into 100 into 2. 2 is the quantity per set of C1 for P. So I can reduce the quantity requirement of C1 by 200 further, which means my quantity of minimum quantity of 280 has come down to 80 only. What is it we have done? We have constantly kept on asking this question, where did this number come from? Where is this requirement coming from? This process of tracing the requirements to source is called pegging. Pegging can be single level or multiple level. As in this example, what we have seen, when we said the minimum requirement is 280, we have done actually single level pegging. By making it 2 level pegging and going into component P, we could further reduce the quantity requirement. But the point is, the process of tracing that requirements to higher level sources, when we are going across on multiple levels, we call it as multiple level pegging. Pegging is very useful in handling cases like supply disruption, design modification, etc.